know yourself well. You know yourself directly. You don't need any outside opinions or information for what you know. What you know doesn't come from outside, but it comes from you. You know it about yourself from yourself. Your identity is what you think and what you know about yourself. Okay, that's pretty much direct identity. What you know about yourself without some kind of outside influence. Okay, direct. Okay, next, maybe you guessed. Another kind of identity is indirect. Indirect identity is where someone says to you, this is who you are. Someone says, you are this, or you are that. And then you say, oh, I'm this, I'm that. Not because you know it directly yourself, but because someone told you. Okay, now that's pretty basic. Okay. Now, is the identity you and I have, is it direct or indirect? Okay, maybe you haven't thought about that before, maybe you have. Y'all are in a different way, maybe not in those words. Okay. Is what you know and understand about yourself based on what someone else told you you are, or based on what you know you are? Well, now, practically speaking, all of us will have a combination of these things. Probably no one's going to be all completely, their identity is all completely direct. And no one's going to probably be, well, in our group, completely indirect, knowing nothing about themselves besides what someone else has told them. Okay. So probably we're some kind of combination of this. We have some direct identity, we have some indirect identity. Okay. Now, that's just how we are. And maybe you haven't thought about it. Okay. If you haven't, now's a good time to think about that. Who you are, your identity, where does it come from? Is it coming from just all from inside? Is someone outside telling you you're this or that? What's it based on? Well, now, this is not necessarily good or bad, but indirect could have some difficulties, because someone might say you are this, and someone else might say, no, you are this. Okay? So then you might have some kind of confusion or difficulty in thinking. Okay? Maybe at school they say, you are this. At home your parents say, you were this. Okay? And then and those things don't match. Those are things that are in opposition to each other. So then you say, who am I? Now, so there's a difficulty or a problem that might come with indirect. Okay? If the group that you were following or the person that you're listening to saying those things, what if they're wrong? What if they're wrong? Okay, I think there are lots of examples I would think of where maybe if you're at school and the teacher says, you're a descendant of a monkey. Okay? By evolution, you come down on a monkey on 8. This is who you are. This is who we are. We are basically just animals. Okay? There's a kind of indirect identity that you may get. You didn't discover that by looking at yourself, but from outside. And then you go to church, and the preacher says, we're not descended from apes, but we're created by God. And our identity is that we are children of God on a completely different level, of a different type from animals. Okay, so there's two different. They don't go together. They're in opposition. Okay, so, well, that's one problem with an indirect identity. Let's see, if you're given an indirect identity by someone who's wrong about who you are, or maybe they say this, you can't do this. Go to school and they say, your marks are low, you're stupid. Okay? You're stupid. That's your identity. You can't do anything with your life because you're stupid. Well, there's a few famous people who have gotten that failing grade in school and have been told you will amount to nothing, and they've gone on, and it wasn't true. They amounted to a lot. I think Einstein's one of those, if I remember that correctly. There's some, the author of Harry Potter. How many times was her manuscript rejected? And you're no good as a writer. You're no good. We don't want your story. You're no good. Okay. What if you believe that indirect identity says you can't do something that you can do, or you are good at it? Well, then something's wrong there. Well, that's not the only problem. Sometimes indirect identity, a thing about it is that it's easier than a direct identity. To have a direct identity, you have to think more. You have to examine yourself and think more about yourself. And you have to honestly face yourself. And it's easier sometimes to just go along with a group who says, here's what to think about who you are. And it's easier. So, lots of people probably would tend to gravitate towards more of an indirect identity, and in probably a way that's out of balance or maybe too much. Another problem with indirect identity is what happens to you when you lose a context. If your identity is all wrapped up in your job, and then you lose that job, what happens to you? Okay? If you've got too much focus on that indirect identity, then you're going to be a mess. Your life will sort of fall apart because you lose the thing that gave you most of your identity. It could be your job, it could be your family, or relationships, or friends. Okay. So, something to think about today is your identity. What do you know about yourself? Who are you? How much of that did you get from just your own directly? How much are you getting that from outside influences? Friends, family, job, teachers, religion. Okay, one more thing. I said there were 3, right? Did you notice? Where's the third one? So, the third one comes if someone is pretty much all indirect. Their identity is all indirect. And then the source of that indirect identity is removed. Okay? Can we say removed identity? Okay. Then what's left? Well, kind of like drowning in sort of grabbing. Then you're grabbing anywhere for an identity because you don't have one. And maybe that former identity was some kind of very negative impression or abuse. When that's gone, and you have no, almost none, or none direct identity, then you're really, really in trouble because you'll be grasping around for anything. Or your life will be going kind of along on autopilot. You're just doing all the things you did out of habit before. But your identity is really, even the indirect identity you had before is gone. Okay, there are all kinds of other ideas that relate to this and things to think about in relation to identity, but that's a basic right there. Jace, you want to add something? Guide me back if I've gone off too far?
No, I think that's pretty much accurate.
Okay. All right. Okay, so what we're doing in the thinking exercises that we've been doing is to help us all go more towards having a direct identity. Okay. When we think about what I think and why I think it, no one is telling me from the outside, you need to think this because I said so. No one's saying that. We're just saying, what do you think? What do you think? Oh, okay. And then think about why you think that. Then what are you doing? You're thinking about understanding yourself directly. Okay? So that's what we're doing. One big thing we're doing in these exercises. Okay. I don't know. Any questions for Jason on this topic? Okay, so think about that. I've been thinking about a lot over the last couple of years when I was first started thinking about that, and it might be helpful. It's probably helpful in understanding people and how they react and things they do, and yourself, situations, education, and church. Going on YouTube and listening to a preacher preach. Say, hey, yeah, I believe that this in theology because I heard a guy preach it on the radio. Okay. What is it you know? Okay. What do you know then? You know something that's going to be, at least first, it's indirect, not direct. Okay. So, how do I apply this a little bit like in the morning in our Sunday school, if you were here. I'm applying this a little bit by trying to say, here, look at the scripture. Look at what someone said. What do you think about it? What do you think about what they say? Is it a good idea? Is it a bad idea? Is it a so-so idea? Okay? You go and look directly. There's a little bit of direct there. Okay, here's the verse. Go there. You can get some information and knowledge directly from God's Word, rather than indirectly, where someone else said, hey, God's Word says ABC, Matthew 25. Okay, God's Word says this. Well, that's indirect. To be more direct is usually better and safer, I would say. Okay, enough. Next exercise. do. Okay, today I have basically two exercises to do. The first one is like last week, and we'll do it in groups again. The second one will be individual. The first one is like last week. Last week we had 10 positive concepts that will define any 5 of Jesus' parables, something like that. Okay, today give 10 negative concepts that will define any 5 of Jesus' parables. Okay. Give 10 negative concepts that will define any 5 of Jesus' parables. Okay, the lost coin and the lost sheep parables, and the concept is unawareness. Okay, can you explain that?
Because from unawareness, they lost their possession.
Can you hear?
By being unaware and not paying attention, they lost their possession.
Got it? They lost their possessions because they're unaware. Okay, a prodigal son.
Some
Here, talk.
bad discipline because the father didn't treat the son well, so when he went away, he spent all his money on and he cursed his brother. Like when the prodigal son came back, his brother was like his father set a feast party for him with the brother who was working so hard and everything was being so good because of what he had. Because the father spoke of his son. The manager was being dishonest to the person who was
So your concept is dishonesty. can you explain a little bit how you got these ideas?
I just read.
What?
I just read.
You read the parables.
And then I just formed a concept.
Okay. You read the parable, and from that formed a concept. Okay. That's a good sample, okay? Because we don't have time. I think that's a good sample. Okay, yourself, thank you. Very good. All right, thanks. Thank you. Okay. Jody, Rizella, Grace, one of you. You can give us what you have. What you have, just give us what you have. That's all right. I see something is written on your paper. Can you share that with us? Something, yeah, come on. Do you have a parable? Do you have a parable? Do you have a concept? Do you have a concept? Is it negative? Is it negative? Okay, come on. Come on, you've got it. Yep, you've got a parable, you got a concept. Come on. No skipping. No skipping. No, then you won't listen to the others. Part of the benefit of this is that we all listen to each other. What you've got, okay, come on. If you want to do more later at home, that's great. Just come share what you have. Just right, yeah.
Okay. I found it at the parable of the two sons. What I understand is about a man who was having two sons.
Yes? Where does the disobedience concept come from?
Because the other sons he disobeyed his father for the command that father commanded to the son.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. All right. Great. How did you get that idea? Based on what Rosella told you?
No,
Based on
what?
you overheard from Jasmine saying? Based on go on. Yes, really.
Based on what I read in parable.
Based on what you read. That's important.
And understanding.
Okay. Based on what you read and your understanding. Okay, thank you. Okay, let's same table. Because Vicky's pen is burning up. You can see steam coming from the pen.
Discuss it.
That's okay.
We have time.
That's okay.
Sharing what we have.
Okay. Give us a sample. Give us a sample.
Sample.
A sample.
Okay,
Come on out. I want to save time, so if you want me to write something, I'll write it.
Okay, you know, right?
If you want.
The parable of 10 virgins. Our concept there is what's false but
And then one more concept. Ready. Not ready. The negative. The parable of the two sons. The parable of the two sons, they have the same answer. I will, I will. So, my concept there is be careful. Be careful. Because based on their answer, they have the same answer that I will. I will do it. The other son answer is, I will not do it, but he do it. So, we need to understand that even though you say you will not do it, but you still do it. But you don't careful to answer that you will do it, but you did not do it at the end. So you need to be careful.
Okay, that sounds positive. This sounds positive.
Be careful.
Is that positive or negative?
Not careful.
Okay.
That's careless.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
It's about
It's okay.
the third parable is the wedding banquet.
Okay, wedding banquet.
Yeah. I think about the wedding is many. I make it negative few. Okay, I explain this. Many are invited in the wedding banquet, but few only are chosen to attend. So, like we have the same concept also, not careful, careless, because other one is the parable of the tenants. This parable of the tenants is about producing fruits, fruits bearing. It says that you cannot enter the kingdom of heaven if you cannot bear fruits. So bearing fruits, not bearing fruits, we make it negative. If you bear fruits, that's positive, and you can enter the kingdom of heaven. We make it negative. You don't bear fruits, and you cannot enter the kingdom of heaven.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, that's a good sample. Okay.
Enough?
All
We
right.
still have.
That's okay. That's a good sample.
Okay. Thank you.
And I think you explained your thinking. Where did your thinking come from? You explained your thinking. Where does your thinking come from?
Just not from my thinking.
For interpreting the contents of the parable, because as I remember when we learn about these parables, you all the answer is here, all the question is here. You can find a question and answer it here. You no need to think about a lot of things.
Okay.
Yeah, the parable answered his own question.
Okay. All right. Okay. We just have one more group? Yeah, one more group. Okay, let's do you guys before the break. Who's gonna come?
Okay. I'm going to give you 7 negative concepts. One is loss, small, disobedience, greed, a matter of the will, selfishness, unprepared. So So we're looking at different parables. Usually we think of loss as not being a good thing. So loss is a negative concept. We find it in the parable of the lost coin and the lost sheep. And quite often we look at somebody or something and we say they're too small or they're too stupid, they can't do anything. We kind of brought that up. Okay, this mustard seed is a very small thing. But if you only look at the physical capabilities of this little tiny seed, you don't know what the end result is going to be. So small we think of as a negative thing. The disobedience, we see disobedience in the prodigal son. Okay, how about greed? Greed would go actually with the prodigal son. But we were thinking of the rich young ruler. Yeah, the rich young ruler had a lot of good things. He had a lot of possessions, and he said, I followed you all my life, but now, how do I really, really follow you? And Jesus said, sell all your things. And he was not willing to do it. So our will has to do with whether we're going to obey or not obey. All of these kind of go together. And in one way, you can look at the rich young ruler as being selfish because he didn't want to give up what he owned. He wanted to keep it for himself. And then we also looked at the parable of the 10 virgins. And we had 10 that were prepared and 10 that were not. 10 that were not, or they were unprepared. And knowing what they knew about weddings and banquets at that time, there was 10 that were wise because they were prepared for what might happen. And the 10 that were not wise, they were unprepared. They didn't think it was important.
Okay, where did these ideas come from?
We actually didn't read one of those. Those ideas came from what we were never taught about those particular parables.
We looked at the books of parables that we remember. And it was negative about it.
Okay.
And that negative, we started listening to it.
Okay, all right. So where did that knowledge come from? Like you said, where did you remember? So a little bit different, maybe some looked and read today. This group's a little bit different, they were based on a memory. So where did that memory come from?
From what we read in the Bible sometime in our lives.
Okay. All right. Okay. Jason, a follow-up question for any of that? I'm going to quick stop this exercise. Any follow-up question or comments about doing this one?
Just curious what people thought about this one. Was it easier than the others, harder than the others, different, same?
Easier than last time.
Yeah.
Easier.
Yeah.
Okay.
What do you think? How about you? What do you think? What's your answer to Jason's question?
Say again.
So is it easier or harder than last time?
Easier. Come.
Grace, yes, sir.
Why is easier?
Do you think?
Yeah, because last Sunday we already think about this, and then we made it positive, and we make it negative only today. So we have that idea last Sunday, really. So it's easier for us to think it.
Okay, all right.
All right.
Okay, after a break, we're going to do, we have one question. It's a question to do by yourself, but with some concepts from before. Be prepared to coach the class through your explanation. Okay, before, you've just come up and told everyone your explanation. Okay. This time, after you've thought about it, what's the benefit, and you have your idea. When you come out, don't just say your idea, but coach the class to help them understand your explanation. Okay, so let's try this time. Instead of coming and saying, hey, this is the benefit, blah, 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 coach it out. Okay, Ron, you looked at me.
Wow. Okay. Okay. Let's go on a treasure hunt. Go on a treasure hunt together. Because in the Bible, the parables of Jesus, there's a treasure of wisdom and knowledge. So we want to find that wisdom and knowledge. And do it together in our groups. And when we look for a treasure, what do we have to do? We have to look on up things. We have to dig in, maybe even turn the earth over to find the treasure. So when we look at those parables, we look for positive or negative concepts. So we have to tear them apart. We have to go in and pick out a word and we have to think about it. Hunting, analyzing. And then we try to find many concepts of that. What's there? One word, what does that word lead to? Another word. And then that word leads to another word. And then we bounce ideas off each other. So it became exciting because we're on a treasure hunt together. So the benefits of this was...
Okay, stop.
Okay.
Okay. He just coached you. What's the benefit? What's the benefit of doing these exercises? What? Share? Share? Learn? Encourage? Follow Jesus? Okay. That's what they got. Now what are you going to say?
Okay. So I'm going to say analyzing, hunting, and making me think deeper. Deeper. So we're sharing, we're thinking deeper. That's the benefits I got out of doing these questions.
All right. I was going to say the benefit is finding a treasure. So, okay. Good. All right. Thank you. Yes?
Okay, so just to add something, because coaching is kind of a broad concept. And generally, we're good with broad concepts, but a couple of things that I kind of want to just work with, because coaching is also an activity. And the thing that we want to know is, coaching as opposed to instruction, there's one significant difference between the two, really. If I'm instructing, what am I doing?
Telling us what to do.
I'm telling you what to do. If I'm coaching, what am I doing?
Give information.
Well, that's true. Both of them give information.
Encouraging.
Encouraging.
We're allowing us to get the information and decide what to do for ourselves.
I'm helping you to do. That's a coach. The coach is a person who helps you to do. An instructor is someone who tells you how to do. Now, a coach is an instructor too, but a coach helps you do. Because if I've got a coach for a team, and that team is not doing, do I have a good coach? If I have a coach for a football team, and that team cannot get past cannot win a game, what does that tell me about the coach? Good coach, bad coach? Yeah, not a good coach. I mean, when you have a team that regularly loses, what's the first thing they do? Fire the coach. Get a new coach. Because that's what the coach does. The coach gets you to do stuff. And that's one of the big differences between instruction and coaching. Instruction is I tell you stuff. Coaching is I help you to understand stuff. You are the thing I want you to understand. I want you to know. And that's one of the reasons why we switch up here with this exercise, because we've been telling. Now we want you to try. You don't need to do amazing, or it doesn't need to be brilliant, the most brilliant coaching that the world has ever seen. You know, if that was the case, then you need to go somewhere and do that, because doggone, that's huge. But to try to practice helping others to understand. Because among other things, that's how the stuff that we learn here we can pass along. And we want you to understand, and we want you to help others understand. So that's why we do the switch up with the coaching. Make sense? Okay. Good.
Okay, all right, thank you. Okay.
Next victim.
Alan.
Each of us may have different ideas. I may have a few, you may have some few, and then we group together, gather our ideas. We will have more ideas. We will create more ideas. With a little help from our group member, we can get the most out of our group, our team. And everybody also has his strengths and weaknesses. And so if we work together, we can have the greatest strength we can get. So we need encouragement and support from each one of us, and we can do it.
Okay, next. Grace? Okay.
benefit that we got from the beginning of this lesson, exercise 8.2, right? And by identifying the parable about the negative and positive concept, and we can identify directly of our, the word that we got, we can identify directly about our emotional and spiritual well-being. By combining, or we are in the process of brainstorming, getting all the words and then making to a concept. And then by this method of brainstorming the word, we gather the ideas of our own and their own experiences and how they use it in their own life, according to the concepts that we have brainstormed. And in this scenario, we experience about we gather and share, and we experience the benefit of sharing of ideas and understanding one's person and in their own understanding of the words that we have brainstormed.
trying to also at the same time understand this this question. And so as we come out, try to think about that. Is the person helping everyone to do as they're doing something, explain something, are they helping to do, helping the rest to do? Okay, all right, yes?
Yeah. At this point, an important question might be, what are we trying to do that we're helping people do?
What are we trying to do that we're helping people do?
What does the question want us to do that we are helping people to accomplish?
Do you have a bucket of ice? Put my head in?
It's a general
Maybe
question.
just,
I'm not, that's just not, I'm not
helping to
comprehending.
understand.
So
Concept.
what is the question wanting us to do?
Okay, the question, okay, I'm just gonna respond, because I'm.
That's okay.
Okay, the question is asking us to explain something we think by having someone do something.
What do we need to be able to do to explain that? What do we need in order to explain something?
What do we need to be clear to understand?
We need to understand it ourselves. So
Yes.
what do we need to do for the exercise? We need basically two things.
Understand your own answer.
Understand, conceptualize.
Understand your own answer. Yeah, that's the first part.
Understanding your own answer is a major part of doing the exercise. Now, as far as explaining goes, what we're doing is coaching. So it gets really, it gets deeply recursive when you are coaching to coach to coach to coach to coach. Way too complicated. So what are we coaching people to do then? Understand.
Yeah.
The thing we want people to do is understand. That's the do that we're looking for in this exercise. Helping other people to understand, but what are we helping them to understand?
Our answer.
Our answer.
Okay?
Helping people to understand our answer. That's
Okay.
what we're looking for.
Okay, Evelyn, come on. Because you had the best nonverbal response to that. Come on.
Okay. We're working to exercise 8.1 and 8.2. Then will help us how to think two ways, positive and negative. And I found out from the different parables, we can find out positive ways and negative ways, and we can change our mind from a negative way to positive way. Just like we just finished the two exercise, and the result of your thinking, you can. I think for me or for some people, when you through this exercise, you can understand it, or you can find it. It's a very depend on you how to think and how to see. Then the result is different. Okay.
Okay? Okay?
Did you understand what I said?
Yes? Yes?
You need to understand.
Okay? Jasmine's grandma.
The question is, explain the benefit of working through this exercise. I'm going to tell you my benefit is a window. There's a window with curtains. Okay, my benefit is a window. benefit in a window. Okay? You look through the window from my eyes. Okay, these are my eyes. And I'm looking through the window. And when I look through the window, I see what I think. Okay, there's a green tree. And there's this and there's that. And you look through the window and you say, oh, there's a purple tree. And I go, oh, well, that's unusual. Let me look at that. So we're maybe looking at the same thing. And it's going to be a purple tree or a green tree. So my reaction is to say, no, you're wrong. Because I'm right and you're wrong. Okay? So the benefit of a window is that what you're seeing is making a change in attitudes, perceptions, whatever. So, okay. I should get that because I was short. Okay.
Okay. Anna? That's right.
I would like to share. At the last time, we thinking about the parables positive. It's let me know the benefits, the fact, what happened of the fact. And we will something happen in the parable. Last time I feel very difficult, but this time, today we are thinking another side, a negative of the concept. They learn more how to do things and practice and do the fulfillment. Because last week I just think it's just thinking what happened, the parable. But today I thinking if we use another side to see what happened of the best. We thinking the faith not only one side. If we the practice and learning, we thinking the faith we use the both sides, two ways thing.
Okay.
The word of love of God, to honor to God, and even sometimes the word is to eat, and they see to your life, and the things to anybody. They need to, the Bible says, the Lord said, the rich man is, okay, if I come to enter in my kingdom, okay, you follow me and sell your because he's a rich man. So, he would say because he's a rich man, and he want his life is, I don't know how to explain it. So, if I to receive Jesus to your life, you forgot your everything for all of us, and you teach to another people what's in their life. Sometimes, mostly before I was very happy today because I always thinking I'm here to learn about Jesus. I want to see more. I want to serve more. And I don't know that now is the parables for me is very, very open to my mind today. So, if your life is, because I'm a single mom, my life, so if I follow Jesus first, and all things, He give you all things, and certainly, this is a
Yes.
May I borrow your last 5 minutes, Scott?
Yeah.
Okay. So, I think first, and I want to be real clear on this, I think everyone did a pretty good job of explaining what they understood. I think so. It was good. It's known that public speaking generally for most people ranks really, really high on the list of fears. Things I do not want to do. I do not want to go and talk in front of people. It's terrifying. So, you did good.
Very good.
Now, what I want to ask is, the folks who came up and explained, were we instructing or coaching? What do you think? Instructing?
We need to choose. Can we just do?
What's that?
Can we choose both? Coaching and instructing?
You can
Because,
both.
yeah.
How many people, when you were up there, asked if anybody understood?
Sorry?
I said, of the people who came up front, how many asked their audience if they understood?
nobody.
What's the goal of coaching for this exercise? To get people to what? Understand.
Understand.
How do you know if you've been a good coach if you haven't even asked if people understand?
Oh.
Now, I bring this up because coaching is one of these things that we don't often, we're not used to in a lot of our teaching and training. When we're working with people, we're used to instruction because we go to school for I don't know how many years, depending on who you are, the number of years you go to school, but a lot, where people stand up front and they tell you things and you listen to things, and that's teaching. But that's not the only way to teach, and it's not the only way to get people to understand. So, how many people would you say coached today? What do you think? 0. Okay, that seemed that, and again, your explanations were good. I don't have any problem with what you explained. You did a good job. But one of the things we want to bring up is the difference between coaching and instruction. Now, Scott has not taught one of these classes before. This is his first time doing it, and he's doing good. But the thing that he can't tell you is what I can tell you having done these before. This is what happens every time. In a class of maybe 20, we are excited if we have one person who coaches on the first run through. Because it is so different. We expect no one will coach the first time. come up front and coach, everybody instructs, because that's what we're used to. Remember habits? That's the habit. You teach the way you learn, that's the habit you acquire. But to really help people understand, we want to be able to get people to the point where they start thinking about coaching. So don't be discouraged, because like I said, you did good, and you did exactly what I thought everyone was going to do. This went exactly the way I expected. It is a perfect class today. You did great. But we'll come back to the coaching. I won't say when, because if I say what day we'll come back to the coaching, no one will show up that day. But we will come back to it. And it's not as painful as it feels like. It really is. I mean, one of the things to keep in mind is everybody's in the same boat here. We're all trying to figure out what we're doing. We're all learning stuff, including me. I was just talking to Scott earlier that as I'm sitting here in the back, watching everybody do stuff, I'm figuring out new things to try with people and new ways that I can work with the class the next time I do this. So everybody involved here is learning stuff. So there's no pressure. There's no worry about, oh, I did well, I did poorly, we're just trying to figure out how to do it. Yeah? Make sense? Okay.
Okay,
So,
thank you.
Scott, good class today.
Okay, good. Don't go away.
Uh-oh.
Unless you have an emergency. Okay, now after I hear Jason say that, I don't know if you say, oh, I want to try again. I want to try again. Maybe. Okay? Because I feel like, oh, I want to try. I want to try. You know? So, lots of us are teachers. If you're not a teacher, you're a parent. You want to do a lot of teaching when you're a parent. You're here in the church. You've listened to lots of Sunday morning instruction, right? So, for me, I know what I think. I want to try to make my speaking time on Sunday morning more coaching. I want to try. Okay, I don't, yeah, that's what I think. You know, to be more on the coaching, see if it can be done in that time. I think it could be. But how can we help people to understand something in a way, in a different way, not ABC, ABC. Everybody's saying ABC. Okay, that's one way. That's how we teach kindergarten, the alphabet. We sing a song. This kind of doing, it's better than just A, B, C. It's better than just talking. It's a kind of doing. Okay, so, okay, but besides me, that's me. I think we all have a similar kind of situation where we're all trying to tell someone something, and it's not working because we're just talking. And we need to figure out the way where we help people to understand something, where we help them do the understanding in a different way. But, okay, now can you catch that idea? I don't know. I'm asking you, do you understand? I don't know about that question. Do you understand? Yes.
Yes.
Well, I don't know if you understand, even if you say yes. If you say no, I know you probably don't understand. If you say yes, I have to say, what do you understand? And then I have to listen back and see, or do something. Okay, so we're going to find out in that we have 3 more times. So we still have a chance to find out if you understand well enough to do. Okay, so that's coming up. If you understand well enough to do, then we've done the coaching. We've sort of succeeded.